am Elizabeth Horn, a senior disability rights advocate with the Disability Law Center of Virginia. Are you struggling with getting or keeping a Social Security disability benefit such as SSI or SSDI? Did you know that the majority of claims for these benefits are denied and require an appeal? You may be able to avoid delays caused by appeals by following some simple strategies. Here are 5 tips that may help you with your Social Security claim. And by the way, this information and many other guides on Social Security benefits is included in our online Social Security resource, which can be found at this link. Okay, so let's start with tip number 1, which is to know what you have to prove to be approved. Now, this requires understanding Social Security's definition of disability. To be considered disabled, you need to have a physical and/or a mental impairment that has lasted or will last 12 months. The disability has to meet a listing, in which case it is considered automatically disabling, or it has to prevent you from working. So to find out if your condition meets a listing and is considered disabling, just Google SSA adult listings and find the one that fits your condition. You'll find the child listings in the same way. It's important that your disability has been formally diagnosed by a medical doctor or psychologist. Social Security also has a list of conditions, mostly rare disorders or cancers, called the Compassionate Allowance List. If your condition meets the criteria for one of these disorders, your case will be placed on a fast track for a decision, and most of these cases are approved. So to find out if you meet one of these, just Google Compassionate Allowance. If you don't meet a listing, then you have to prove you can't work, which is the case with most people. This means you must have evidence that you cannot perform any regular work. Regular work is any work that is performed for an employer across an 8-hour day and a 40-hour week on an ongoing basis. If you are under 50 years old, Social Security will deny your claim if they think there is even a simple, routine job you could do that may or may not be related to the work you've been doing, even if that work required extensive education or training. At age 50, however, Social Security starts to relax this work requirement, understanding that older individuals with disabilities may have a harder time adapting to different work. So basically, that's what you have to prove to be approved. Now, tip number 2 is to apply to the right program. If you have worked steadily and consistently paid Social Security payroll taxes on even a small amount of income over the last 10 years, you probably have enough credits in the Social Security system to apply for SSDI, also known as Social Security Disability Insurance. You need 5 years of credits out of the last 10 years. But if you're under 30, you will need fewer credits. Your SSDI benefit amount will depend on how high your wages have been, and therefore how much you have paid into this program. For SSDI, you must satisfy a 5-month waiting period. So even if you became disabled today and got approved tomorrow, you'd still have to wait 5 full months for the benefits to begin. By the way, the Social Security Disability Insurance Benefit, or SSDI, will pay back some of the time you've been disabled, and it also comes with a child benefit. To determine if you have enough credits and what your estimated benefit will be, set up your Social Security My account at this link. Okay, now the other program is if you have not worked or earned enough credits, you can apply for the needs-based program called SSI, or otherwise known as Supplemental Security Income. This benefit is a flat amount that will be reduced, however, by 1/3 if you live with others and are not paying part of the household expenses. Your spouse's income or a parent's income in the case of a child application could also reduce or eliminate this benefit. There's also a resource limit of $2,000 for an individual. You can own a home and a car. Beyond that, you can't have more than $2,000 available to you. Now, keep in mind, Social Security uses the same definition of disability to decide if you get SSI or SSDI. And some people receive both SSI and SSDI. Regarding other Social Security benefits you or your adult child with a disability may qualify for, go to Social Security's Benefit Estimate Screening tool to explore other benefits available to you and your family at that site. So that's how you apply to the right program. Now, the next tip is to maintain health care in order to prove your disability. Proving disability needs solid and current medical evidence. Large gaps in treatment can be harmful to your case. So if you lose your job and then your health insurance, be sure to apply for Virginia Medicaid, which expanded in 2019 to serve many Virginians without insurance. You can apply for Medicaid at this link. Now, we have a guide on our Social Security webpage that will provide other health care resources as well. It's entitled, "Do You Have a Disability and Need Health Care?" It's also important to maintain health care with specialists that treat your disabling conditions. Social Security does not consider your primary care doctor or a PCP to have enough expertise to treat a more serious, perhaps chronic disorder. Be sure to ask your primary care doctor for referrals to specialists who treat your disability, such as a heart doctor, psychiatrist, maybe a rheumatologist, or even a neurologist, or several, whichever are treating your condition. Also, once you have proper treatment, be sure to avoid canceling appointments without rescheduling, and follow the treatment plan that your provider gives you to the best of your ability. These practices demonstrate both your need for ongoing and intensive care and your efforts to be as well as possible. Also, when applying, be sure to state all the conditions that impact you and result in your inability to work, not just the main one. And likewise, provide the contact information for all of the treatment providers and the medications you use for each condition and the side effects for each medication. Okay, so this is how you maintain health care. Tip number 4 is to basically prove your medical records need to support the conditions you state. You have to educate your doctors and Social Security. And in order to do that, you have to create a list of your symptoms, the frequency and severity of each, and how each limits you across an average day. So update your list of symptoms and limitations from time to time and share it at each doctor's appointment so they better understand and document how your disabilities affect you. For example, symptoms can include things like pain, dizziness, shortness of breath, weakness, fatigue, an inability to sleep, irritability, depression, anxiety, difficulty with memory, and concentrating over a long period, which would be needed in a work setting. Limitations are caused by symptoms and are things like you can't complete forms or complete tasks, simple tasks, maybe can't get along with others, can't bathe or dress alone, need help cooking and cleaning. Maybe you can't sit or stand or walk for long periods or lift beyond 5 pounds. The more you detail the limitations, the better. For example, you could say, headache pain occurs at least 1 day a week and lasts 6 to 10 hours, requiring me to rest in a dark room. The pain is 6 to 8 on a scale of 10, and medications provide limited relief. When working, I had to call out sick 4 days a month, and I'm unable to help at home when headaches occur. If you do this for each symptom, your doctors and then Social Security will begin to get the idea that you couldn't work an 8-hour day week after week. Now, once you apply, you're going to receive a form called the Function Report, which is your opportunity to tell it like it is, as I've just described. And if you've already told your doctors and they recorded this information, then when you report the same information in this form, you are creating a very believable case for disability. You will also receive a work history form to record the jobs you've held in the last 15 years. You could add to this a list of the jobs you've lost due to your disability and what caused you to lose the job. Okay, so educating your doctors and Social Security is key. Now, the next tip and the last tip is to understand the appeal process and hang in. The bottom line is obtaining a Social Security benefit can take time. For example, when applying, it will likely take at least 4 to 6 months to receive an answer. And even with a well-presented claim from the start, most cases are denied, often due to weak evidence. If Social Security denies you, you have a right to appeal. And appealing means you simply disagree with the decision and you want Social Security to consider more information. If you miss your 60-day deadline, you can ask for what's called good cause for late filing. And for this, you need a good reason and good documentation, but at least you won't have to start over. So if you must appeal, and you should, the first appeal is called a request for reconsideration, and you are given 60 days to do so. This decision will take another 2 to 4 months, and with an appeal, you can clarify and add more documentation to prove your case. If this appeal is denied, you can and should appeal again, and do so within 60 days. This appeal is called a request for hearing by an administrative law judge. Now, this hearing will involve a face-to-face time with a judge who only considers disability cases, and it can take a year or more for this hearing to be scheduled. So keep in mind, depending on which program you are applying for, if you are ultimately approved, there will be a past due benefit to cover the period you've been waiting. So do you see now why it's so important to prepare a strong case from the beginning to possibly avoid the appeals? Hopefully these 5 tips will help you. Also to know regarding a hearing, if you require one, be sure to obtain local representation from someone who specializes in Social Security and has knowledge of your specific condition, and preferably the local judges, one of whom would hear your case. You do not need to pay a representative up front, and you only pay if they are successful in getting your case approved. To learn more about the application and appeal process, and to find other guides that will help you get or keep Social Security disability benefits, you can go to our online Social Security resource at the link provided. So thank you for listening today, and I hope this has been helpful to you in your efforts to obtain Social Security disability benefits.